everybody. This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR and racing podcast. First and foremost, hope everyone had a wonderful Easter weekend with their family and friends, celebrating the resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Cup Series would be off, but there would still be plenty of racing action. Trucks, ARCA East, and O'Reilly Series would all be ready to go at Rockingham out in North Carolina. After last year's truck race came down to fuel saving, can Tyler Ankrum go back to victory lane after winning there last year? Or would it be Corey Heim back in the TRICON truck? ARCA East would be kicking to go late Saturday morning. As mentioned last episode, Cletus McFarland and Squirrel McNutt would both be in this one. Expecting the race to come down to between Max Reaves, Carson Brown, Tristen McKee, O'Reilly. All eyes now will be on the 33 of Cletus McFarland as he makes his O'Reilly Series debut with Richard Childress. And there has been a lot of critics of Cletus on his quick rise into the sport. Justin Allgaier and last year's winner at the Rock, Sammy Smith, look to continue JRM's dominance this year as Taylor Gray and Austin Hill, among others, look to throw them off. Interviews with two drivers from the Truck Series, Parker Eatmon, and full-time driver Christian Eckes. Yellow flag, green flag, discussions with Dave, paint schemes of the week, NASCAR history time, Fast Davies bets, predictions for Bristol, baby, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now for the ARCA East recap. ARCA East would be ready to fire it up Saturday morning and get to green right before noon. Tristen McKee would win the pole after being the fastest in qualifying. Him and Max Reaves bring the field to green. McKee quickly goes to the front. With about 90 to go, Max Reaves has a tire go down and fades. Carson Brown to second. After a late yellow, Tristen McKee and Carson Brown restart with 9 laps to go. Like he'd done all day, Tristen gets the jump and leads the final lap and wins at Rockingham. Now for trivia question time. This episode's question is, who is the most Cup Series wins at Bristol? Answer coming at the end. Now for paint scheme of the week, part 1. Doing 2 paint schemes on this episode. We throw it back to recently when O'Reilly just raced at Darlington. There was a throwback scheme to JD Motorsports, Johnny Davis Motorsports. This one was the Zero, driven by Garrett Smithley, had their classic red paint scheme with the yellow letterings. Was really cool to see that paint scheme back on track. Now for our interview with Parker Eatmon. Here's what Parker had to say. Next guest we bring on the Splash of Gas is set to make his Truck Series debut tomorrow in Rockingham. Driving the 42 Chevy for Nice Motorsports is Parker Eatmon. Thanks for joining the show, Parker.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. You're from Wilson, North Carolina, second generation driver behind your dad. You start racing Bandoleros and Legends at a young age. What was it like growing up and going to the track like for you, man?
Yeah, I mostly raced in Charlotte at the quarter mile at Charlotte Motor Speedway and then the quarter mile at Atlanta. So those were the main 2 tracks I ran when I was coming up in Bandoleros and Legend cars, and I really enjoyed that just because you get to be in the pits, of where the Cup guys are and the trucks and Xfinity every weekend, so it was cool. To travel everywhere.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, definitely neat to be in the pits there. I've seen some of the races there, so awesome. Appreciate you touching upon that. You just mentioned Legends. I mean, in 2021, you win the Legends National Championship. Following year, you win the Florida State Championship, and then start to make starts in a late model. I mean, obviously the size and the shape of the two cars are different. Was there any learning curve from going from a Legend to a late model for you?
Yeah, it was a big learning curve. I'd say the biggest was just the competition. I think legend cars, you got 2 to 3 cars that can win on a nightly basis, and then you go to late models, and there's at a local show, there's 7 or 8 good guys that always are up there running up front. So definitely different coming from the legend cars, but obviously everybody has to make that jump at some point.
Gotcha. All right. No, appreciate you touching on those differences. In 2023, you take a year off to finish up high school. You're back in the late model. In 2024, I'm winning at Tri-County and then the Thanksgiving Classic to close out the season. How did you feel at the end of 2024 going into your first full-time season on the Cars Tour?
I felt relatively confident. I feel like I still needed a lot to learn, and I feel like I did learn a lot last year with the schedule I ran. But obviously, the Cars Tour is really tough, and I think it's the hardest competition in all of late model racing. So obviously, that was tough last year, but I think it prepared me well for this year. And yeah, I just think that was a really good learning year for me last year.
Awesome. Glad you had that. And just like you mentioned, the tough competition on the Cars Tour. 2 top tens. I mean, 2 top fives, 6 top tens. Just as you mentioned, a lot of talent in that series. I mean, anything specific that you learned from last year?
Probably just adversity, and some days the practice days didn't go as well as we wanted to, and we just had to push through and make it to race day. But I don't. Yeah, I think just the level of competition and then how much racecraft you learn from the series is really good. So I think that really prepared me well for this year.
Awesome. Glad that you're having those learning experiences. I'm sure your hometown track of Southern National Motorsports Park holds a special place for you. But what are some of your favorite short tracks that you visited in a late model recently?
Last year was probably Wilkesboro and Martinsville are my favorite. My favorite is definitely Martinsville. We finished 5th there last year in the Valley Star Credit Union 300, so that was a really good race. I really enjoyed racing at Martinsville and also Wilkesboro as well.
Awesome. Yeah, been to each of those short tracks and definitely cool. Especially with the late model guys running on the NASCAR tracks. Was announced last December you'd be joining Nice. You tested at Rockingham earlier this year. That place looks fast from TV. What did you learn from that test?
I really learned everything. I mean, the jump from late models to trucks is like nothing I've ever experienced, and obviously you're going a lot faster, and the air is just so much different with how aeroed out all these trucks are. So I just had to learn all of that and learn how they felt because the trucks are so much heavier and only a little bit more horsepower. So obviously just a big learning curve there, and then we're going to learn some more tomorrow there in practice.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, after that repave there, I think like 1 or 2 years ago. I mean, as you saw last year with the truck race, those guys are really going quick. And then last year's race really was kind of a fuel saving battle. I mean, this is your first truck race. I mean, did you have any goals or expectations for Friday night in the 52 and the 42?
Yeah, I think a top 15 with a clean truck, I could hold my head up high walking out of here. But I think just to make all the laps and gain as much experience as possible would be the main goal.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Nice Motorsports, as we've seen with, adding Connor to start the new late model program, young talent of Andres, Tyler, Matt, Landon, several others among yourself. I know you're just starting out with them. Have you had any time to share any notes and race talk with those guys?
Yeah, we share notes and talk back and forth with each other throughout the shop. So I mean, it's really good to have all those guys. Obviously, they come from the same things I do, so we can kind of relate in that way. But yeah, it's been good getting to know all the teammates this year. Obviously, we got a lot of them, but yeah, it's been good to just kind of connect with them. They're obviously my age, so it's been good to create some chemistry around the shop.
Heck yeah. glad that you can have those connections with some of your teammates. You mentioned that the truck wasn't really too similar to the late model. Was there anything specific that you were really trying to pick up quickly in the test, or?
Yeah, I think that getting behind another truck in the dirty air just kind of throwing me off because I've never obviously felt that before. So I think that's the biggest thing I got to learn here in my first race. It's just running around different trucks, especially with going that fast.
Gotcha. Yeah, so some of that aero stuff, definitely important, as you just mentioned. Last question, really do appreciate the time, man. Have you had any chance to run that dirt track behind the shop at Nice?
Yeah, I ran a couple laps there about a month ago before it got cold or we had a warm day. So, yeah, it was really fun. I think that's also the fun part about Nice is we get to go out there and have fun after the workday's done. So, I think it's really good for building chemistry. Everybody enjoys going out there and having fun in the carts. So, I think that's our bonus to running a Nice.
Yeah, gotcha. No, I saw that on the socials and was like, that's pretty cool. So wanted to ask that, and best of luck this weekend, man. Soak it all in. Definitely, sure will be super exciting for you in the debut on Friday, and we'll be cheering on from New Jersey for you in the 42, and really appreciate the time, Parker.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yep, have a good one.
You too.
Great to talk to a young driver in Parker. Best of luck to him this year. Now for the Truck Series recap. Truck Series would get going green just before 5 p.m. on Friday. After qualifying, Jake Garcia would be the fastest and go on the front row alongside Tanner Gray. Once they would get going, Gray would pull out to the lead, Ty Majeski in second, then Corey Heim would be hauling. Lap 18, Heim would take over the top spot and quickly racks up over a 2-second lead to Gray in second. The rest of the first stage would stay green and be won by Corey Heim. Ty Majeski is second and Honeycutt in third. Grant Enfinger and Corey Heim restart for stage 2. Enfinger jumps up to the lead with Heim in second. 13 laps into the middle stage, Heim takes the top spot again. 3 laps later, the first yellow for incident would fly as Adam Andretti spins. Heim and Majeski restart. Corey Heim will clear for the lead again. 22 laps later, Heim will cruise to the Stage 2 win. Heim, alongside his TRICON teammate, Gio Ruggiero, restart for the third and final stage. Heim again clears for the lead. 38 laps later, Heim would nearly have a 6-second lead ahead of Majeski. 60 laps to go. Daniel Hemrick pits, starting the next round of green flag pit stops. 34 to go. Another yellow flies as Michael Christopher goes spinning in the 62. They restart with 28 to go. Heim and Honeycutt restart. Heim, like a slingshot, out to the lead. 15 to go. Heim has a 0.8-second lead over Caden Honeycutt in second. 5 to go. Honeycutt has cut into Heim's lead. Now Heim only leads by 0.4 seconds. Can Caden catch Corey? Final lap, they're side by side. Heim gets the edge off turn 4 and wins at the Rock. What an exciting finish. Now for the O'Reilly Series recap. O'Reilly Series will be ready to roll off Saturday afternoon. After qualifying, Corey Day would be on the pole. Him and Jesse Love would bring the pack to green. Day would get the jump and lead, followed by Love and Justin Allgaier. Early on, Cletus McFarland spins, but is able to keep it going. First yellow flies on lap 49 as Blake Lawton goes spinning. The rest of the field pits as just 4 from the lead stay out. Taylor Gray and Anthony Alfredo restart, but 3 laps later, Corey Day again goes to the lead and wins stage 1. Day and Brendan Jones restart for the middle stage. Day leads again. After a yellow for Jeremy Clements, Corey and Brendan Jones restart once again. Day to the top spot. Last 20 laps stay green, and Corey Day wins stage 2. Jesse Love and Ryan Sieg restart for the third and final stage. Love clears for the lead. 9 laps later, he battles with Brent Cruz and then they would go side by side for several laps. 3 laps later, though, Cruz would take the lead away from Jesse Love. Lap 165, another yellow as Anthony Alfredo spins and has a tire go down. A lap after the restart, another yellow as Ryan Sieg and Jeremy Clements make contact. William Sawalich and Brett Cruz restart. Sawalich to the lead. 44 to go, another yellow as Cletus McFarland goes spinning. Sawalich and Brett Cruz restart with 38 to go. Once again, William Sawalich out to the lead. 15 to go. Sawalich still leads. 3 to go. William still leads. William Sawalich gets his first win in the Xfinity Series in Rockingham. Congratulations to William and all at Joe Gibbs Racing. Quick look back at the predictions we made. ARCA East tapped Carson Brown. He finishes second. Trucks, I went with Corey Heim to win, and he gets that done. O'Reilly, I took Jesse Love to nab the win. He qualified second and was up towards the front. In the end, Jesse finishes 27th. Now for yellow flag, green flag. ARCA East, green flag. Tristen McKee. The 15-year-old is on a roll and won the season opener for ARCA East last weekend in Hickory, and then again this weekend at the Rock. Trucks, yellow. Honestly expected more from Daniel Hemrick after running P3 at the Rock last year. He goes several laps down. Trucks, green, Heim, time. Can he make it 3 in a row in Bristol? O'Reilly, yellow. Rough day for Jesse Love. Starts second, but ends up 27th. As we just mentioned in the recap, he was running towards the front, but ends up falling back, unfortunately, for Jesse. O'Reilly, green. Joe Gibbs Racing stops JRM after Junior Motorsports has won the last 5 O'Reilly races coming into Rockingham. William Sawalich and Joe Gibbs stop JRM in their tracks. Now for discussions with Dave. Corey Day is unstoppable. Almost had a tire issue before the finish, but he closed out that race and was just so dominant. Crazy to think in this race, this was the most laps Corey Day has led in a Truck Series race. And crazy to think Heim is not even running a full-time season in any of the series this year, and he already has 2 wins at the truck level. Why isn't he already in Cup? He does have a deal with 2311 Racing as their development driver. He is also their sim driver. And one of the reasons why he isn't already full-time in Cup, that's the team we were just talking about that won in the O'Reilly Series, Joe Gibbs Racing. There has been rumors, we've talked about it in past years on the show, that back in their ARCA days, Corey Heim and Ty Gibbs, as we saw, did butt heads on the track, and that just did not leave a good taste with the higher ups at Joe Gibbs Racing. Next year, Corey Heim is 100% in a 2311 Cup car full-time. Believe he makes the playoffs and maybe even gets his first Cup Series win. 2311 already has credited Heim, who is their sim driver, with all the data he has given to Tyler Reddick, has saying that has helped elevate the team. As we've seen, Reddick won the Daytona 500, then the next 2 following races, and got another one at Darlington. Remember, Tyler Reddick did not have a win last year. And you heard it here first. We were just talking about the grudge that is rumored to have between Joe Gibbs Racing and Corey Heim. We were talking last week, Denny Hamlin, it looks like next year, 2027, could be his last at the Cup level full-time. I believe after next year, if Heim is available, Joe Gibbs Racing buries the hatchet and signs him. 100% business. Joe Gibbs breaks the glass emergency pole for Heim time. Butting heads with Ty, that's a thing of the past. Ty has made improvements at the Cup level. Not going to take that away from him, and he has been close to getting his first win, but is he ever going to get that? Compared to Corey Heim, you'd rather have Corey Heim as your driver, and that's just a no-brainer in my opinion. Next topic, O'Reilly winners' thoughts. When William Sawalich was coming up in the ARCA series and signed with Joe Gibbs, last year was his first full-time season, I truly thought that William Sawalich was going to rise to stardom right away. And that did not happen. Some drivers, it takes time for them. They need to learn and develop in these lower series. The road to the Rockingham win for William has not been the smoothest and the straightest for sure. But in the end, Sawalich overcomes and gets to the top spot and does not give it away. Great to see William in victory lane. And what can he do with this win? Is this just going to be a one-win season for him? Or can he get back to victory lane this year? If so, William can 100% be in the championship chase. Thoughts on Cletus McFarland in the Xfinity race? Before we even get into that, Cletus did run the ARCA East race. Cletus does go on to finish fourth in that one. This isn't Cletus's first ARCA Series race, though, but he doesn't run full-time. Really a lot of credit for that P4 finish for him. On the O'Reilly side, he qualifies 35th. He qualified behind, I'm sorry, I have sponsored them, but he qualified behind the 74 of Dawson Cram for Mike Harmon Racing. After the way Cletus qualified in Daytona in the truck, I was not expecting that. He said he made a mistake, and we'll give him a mulligan on that. He runs all the laps. He doesn't take anyone out. He slides early in stage 1, but keeps it going. He does slide in the final stage, brings out the yellow, but it doesn't affect anyone's day. Check out his post-race interview. It's great as always. Truly brings so much energy and a lot of eyes to the sport. Cletus will be back on track in the 33 in a couple weekends in Talladega. Can't wait for that one. Now for Paint Scheme of the Week, Part 2. Malcolm in the middle. Yes, you heard that right. As we know, Frankie Muniz, aka Malcolm, races full-time in the Truck Series for Team Reaves. This past off-season, Frankie, alongside Bryan Cranston, plus their other co-stars, filmed Malcolm in the Middle, the reboot, Life Still Unfair, a 4-part series. And that's Muniz's paint scheme for the weekend on the 33, Malcolm on the middle on the hood, the cast on the side. If you're a 90s kid, give that one a look. Neat for sure. Now for NASCAR History Time, Bristol. April 8th, 1990. The closing laps of the Valleydale Meets 500 at Bristol delivered one of the most dramatic finishes in NASCAR history. With just 10 laps to go, Davey Allison, Mark Martin, Sterling Martin, and Ricky Rudd were running close nose to tail in a 4-car train, separated by inches. The intensity boiled over when Rudd made an aggressive move entering turn 1, sending Sterling hard into the outside wall. That left Allison and Martin to battle out for the win. As they had charged towards the finish line, Martin dove low and then slid back up the track, making contact with Allison right at the stripe in a dramatic conclusion. NASCAR reviewed the photo and videos, declaring the win to Davey Allison in one of the closest and most controversial finishes at Bristol. August 29th, 1992. Darrell Waltrip captured his 12th and final Cup Series win at Bristol, further cementing his legacy at the high-banked half-mile track. Waltrip's dozen wins at Bristol remains the most by any driver in the Cup Series at that track, a testament to his dominant Hall of Fame career. Now for Discussions with Dave, Part 2. Didn't mention this in the Truck Series recap, but Chandler Smith, who originally finished 4th at the end of Rockingham, is ultimately disqualified. Post-race inspection, Smith is disqualified and is credited with the last place position. He did not meet, or his truck did not meet, the rear body inspection height requirements. We've seen this before at the truck level with the rear end being too low at the end of races. Seems to happen once in a while. But in the end, after having what seemed a solid top 5 finish for Chandler Smith, gets wiped away. Moving right along in discussions with Dave, Cletus McFarland, I don't want to race Cup at all. With Cletus's rise throughout the sport quite quickly, which we have been talking about kind of under a microscope, as an onlooker, I truly thought the ultimate goal for Cletus was eventually to run the Daytona 500. Recently, in an interview, Cletus, who just ran ARCA and made his O'Reilly debut in Rockingham, said, "I don't want to race Cup at all." Cletus went into detail on the gap between him and the Cup drivers, and that is totally a big gap, and still a huge gap between him and an average O'Reilly driver. Someone did say this online and posed this question. Imagine if you get a Brennan Poole or a Ryan Sieg in that RCR car. They might be able to win races, knowing how fast they are when Jesse Love, Austin Hill are driving those RCR O'Reilly cars on the super speedways. We do get to see Cletus at Talladega. He should have a solid, I don't see why he doesn't get in top 10 for qualifying, knowing how fast Love and Hill are at that track. And from drivers talking about it in the past, I mean, it doesn't seem to be the trickiest qualifying if you have a good car, 100%. We saw Cletus qualify, I believe it was 9th in the truck at Daytona. So he should be quick in the RCR fast equipment on the super speedway. Can he run all the laps? That is another question. Probably not. Unfortunately for Cletus, I think just some of the aero stuff that he really does have lacking, and just the race knowledge that he doesn't have a foundation of, unfortunately. I think we'll bite him at Talladega, but can't wait for that. He's just a great personality. All of his interviews are must-watch TV, do bring excitement 100% to the track. I mean, he finished, I believe it was 33rd in the Xfinity race, and he was hooting and hollering like he had a top 5 finish out there, and fans were cheering with him. He does have a following, so good for Cletus, but did think it was interesting that he said, "I don't want to race Cup at all." Moving right along, should Corey Heim run for the championship in the trucks this year? As we know, Corey Heim is not running full-time in the Truck Series this year. But guess what? He just won the last 2 Truck Series races. Right now, he is first in the points. If you go on the NASCAR website for Truck Series standings, Heim, listed in the 1 TRICON truck, is at the top with 2 wins. NASCAR has came out and said not so fast. Heim has not ran all the races. He will not be granted a waiver and won't be able to run in the Truck Series Championship. And I do get it. I mean, as a fan, I want Heim to run the rest of the Truck Series. I mean, it's exciting with him in the trucks full-time, as we've seen the last several seasons with him running full-time in the Truck Series. There's deals with sponsors and so on. I mean, look if you're in Caden Honeycutt's shoes. He makes that big jump, leaves Nice Motorsports, gets cut from them, as we know, then makes the jump to Team Toyota. Honeycutt, unfortunately, if Heim wasn't in that race, Caden would have won at Rockingham. I wish NASCAR would bend the rules and Heim could be in the truck for the rest of the season full time, but that's not going to happen from what it sounds like, and NASCAR isn't going to bend the rules, and I understand the reasons for doing that. I'm sure some will have questions, because I don't think this is going to be Corey Heim's only wins in the Truck Series this year. I think he gets 1 2, maybe even 3 more wins in the Truck Series this year. Sky's the limit, even though he's not running full time, and we saw what he did last year, winning the championship in the end. Moving right along, next topic. Do we see Nick Sanchez this weekend on the O'Reilly side of things for AM Racing after they pulled out their entry for Rockingham? Was not expecting that, as I was saying last episode, for AM Racing to pull out their entry with Nick Sanchez. He won a race last year before, won 2 races in the Truck Series. I don't understand why he's not getting the opportunity he should get, but in the end, that's racing sometimes. Hope we do see Nick back in his seat soon. Will that be in Martinsville or somewhere else down the line? We'll see. Final topic on discussions with Dave. Bristol Truck Series silly season news was recently announced. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who made his Truck Series debut in Daytona, crazy as that sounds, Ricky will be entered in the 4 for Nice Motorsports. Bristol is a track that Ricky has had success at before. Can he get in the top 5 in that 4 Nice truck? I sure think so. Then Carson Ferguson, known for racing on the dirt side in the late model divisions. He was the runner-up in the Colleague Race for the Seat with Ram. He makes his Truck Series debut in the 25 on Friday night. We'll be looking out for him. Christopher Bell, jumping down from the Cup Series, will be driving the 62 entry for Hallmeyer Friesen. And was just announced a couple days ago, Daniel Suarez, everyone's amigo besides Ross Chastain, will be in the Spire 71 truck. Ross Chastain is also entered in this one for Nice Motorsports in the 45. Do we see them clash on the Truck Series Friday night? Who knows? We will sure all be watching though. That wraps up this episode's edition of Discussions with Dave. Now the drivers to look out for Bristol Truck Series. Start with the guy that won last year, and that was the 34 Front Row Motorsports truck of Lane Riggs. Already 1 win underneath his belt this year for Riggs. Can he be up at the top with the sword at Bristol again? I sure think so. Should be in contention. A guy that has not had good luck this year, but has ran well at Bristol in the past. 2-time past truck champ, Ben Rhodes in the 99. Can they get past any of the bad luck they've had recently and contend? I sure hope so. Corey Heim, as we know, is going to be in this one. Always competing for a win. Ty Majeski was good last weekend and did battle with Heim at times. Can Ty get up to the top? I don't see why not. Guy that we're just about to talk to, Christian Eckes. He's won before at Bristol in the trucks. Should be contending for a win as well. And don't count out his MHR teammate, Daniel Hemrick. We know another veteran too. Another quick Toyota should be Tanner Gray. He was 6th in the fall last year at Bristol. Then, of course, those Cup drivers that are stepping down for the trucks. Stenhouse, Hocevar, Chastain, Christopher Bell. Look out for those 4 as well. Drivers to look out for on the O'Reilly side at Bristol. We start off with the 19, which will be driven by Brett Cruz. Last year, that car, driven by Eric Amarola, went on to win the race. Now Cruz, just recently 18, can now race at all the tracks moving forward. He was up towards the front in Martinsville. Saw him run well at North Wilkesboro on the short track in the trucks last year. Can Brett have a standout day? I sure think so. Both of the Haas factory cars, Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer, should be ones to look out for. Sam went on to shave his head. He's trying to do anything to get a better finish on Saturdays. Will that pay off? We'll see. Can't count out those junior motorsports cars. Justin Allgaier, Carson Quapple. Maybe Sammy Smith gets in that mix also from the JRM stable. 2 guys last but not least, don't count them out. Harrison Burton, seen him recently run up front on the short tracks. And Brendan Poole in the Alpha Prime 44. Don't see why Brendan can't run up in the top 10 again. Now, the drivers to look out for Bristol Cup Series. Start out with the two drivers that won each races last year in the spring and the fall. Kyle Larson was victorious in the spring, C. Bell in the fall. Following on the Toyota trend from Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell, and Chase Briscoe each finished in the top 10 in the spring and the fall. Expect Joe Gibbs Racing to continue their dominance there. Believe that Joey Logano should have a good day in his Ford, but also don't count out Ryan Blaney. If I'm going to put money on it, I think Blaney is going to have the best finish of the Fords. But I might be quick to swallow that. Brad Keselowski and the two other RFK drivers, Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher, can get up towards the front as well. Don't count out AJ Allmendinger in the 16 Colleague Racing. Can AJ get into the top 10? He did in the spring last year. Now for our interview with Truck Series driver Christian Eckes.
Next driver we bring on the Splash of Gas is driver of the 91 Chevy for McAnally Higgleman Racing in the NASCAR Truck Series is Christian Eckes. Thanks for joining the show, Christian.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Before we get into the recent action, the last year you run full-time in the O'Reilly Series with Colleague Racing. 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s. Longer season than the trucks, of course. How was last year for you?
Challenge for sure, in many different fashions. I've only really driven trucks the last, I don't even know how many years, probably 10 years or getting close to 10 years. So to have a new vehicle was definitely a challenge to learn new habits and kind of change old ones. So it was a difficult year. We finally started to get some momentum rolling at the end of the year and finding some speed and getting better and doing the things we should have done, and just kind of ran out of time, unfortunately. But it was a good learning year, good experience, and definitely helping me out for the future.
Awesome. That's great to hear. You mentioned running out of time. Unfortunately, you missed out of the playoffs last year. What more did you think you needed down the stretch to be a part of that group of 12?
Just consistency. We actually had better statistics than a few of the people that made it into the playoffs, but unfortunately we had mechanical failures, which are either it was, engine malfunctions or, I would get into a crash. There were just a lot of things that we didn't do a good job of managing early on, and put us in a hole. So mostly just crashes and, mechanical failures that took us out of the playoffs, but did feel like we were a playoff team, probably not as well as any of us wanted to be throughout the year as far as performance, but definitely do believe and still believe that we were a playoff team.
Gotcha. Thank you for touching upon that for last year. Obviously, you have a prior relationship with MHR, and towards the end of last year it was announced that Colleague would not be going back O'Reilly Racing and would be fielding trucks for Ram. How did it work out that you end up back at MHR?
Yeah, I've always had a good, long-standing relationship with Bill since I got there in 2023. And, as soon as I heard that Colleagues Xfinity program was going to be no longer, obviously that kind of got me in scramble mode on what to do next. And, whether it was to stay there or come back to MHR. And I felt like my relationship with Bill and the success that we shared would be a familiar place. I always said when I left MHR, I never felt like I was going to want to drive for another truck team. So stayed true to that, and called Bill, and he said, whatever we have to do to make it happen, we'll do it. So he's been supporting ever since, and including through this year where we've had some trials and tribulations of trying to get some speed and trying to get back to victory lane. So yeah, couldn't ask to be in a better situation.
Gotcha. Seems like you hit the ground running for this year, back full time with them. You start the season off with an exciting finish in Daytona, finishing P3. The last two times in Atlanta, unfortunately, since your win in 23, have not treated you well. After two super speedways to start the year, how did you feel going to the St. Pete Grand Prix after having success on the road courses previously, and how was that set up down there for you?
Yeah, I know it's fun to go to St. Pete for sure. Yeah, no, Daytona was exciting for sure. I feel like I've been in position to win that race every single year. I've gone down there and just find a way to lose at the last lap or a couple laps to go. So was good to have a good showing there. Very clean day, good points. Obviously, Atlanta didn't go very well. We had a mechanical failure on lap 1.5, and then St. Pete, I made a mistake and got some damage early, and was just really never able to rebound from it. So yeah, no, I mean the whole start of the year has been very inconsistent. Daytona and Darlington, I feel like are standard days of 49, 50, 52 point days, where we run up front, contend for wins, and do the things we need to do. But then the other 3 races we've had, we haven't necessarily executed on that. So just need to shore up the performance side of things, the execution on my end, to be where I feel like we should be, and that's a championship contender. So definitely have some work to do, and feel like Bristol's a good place this weekend for us to start doing that.
Got it. You mentioned Darlington 2 races ago. You start 16th and 2 early yellows, and you pass Heim and Honeycutt late in stage 1 and get that stage 1 victory. You finish 5th in the second stage. Big wreck on the overtime there, and you come home P3 after the second overtime. What were you seeing there with those late restarts at the Lady in Black?
Yeah, no, I just felt like we needed a little bit more capability and potential. There were some things that I needed to do differently to just getting back into a truck for the first time at basically a real racetrack, we'll call it, of racing on an oval and competing and stuff like that. So yeah, no, we definitely needed to be a little bit better, but still proud of the performance to qualify bad, still get to the lead, win a stage. And then run, top 3, top 5 for the rest of the day. So, yeah, no, it was a good performance, but still have a lot left on the table for sure.
Gotcha. Appreciate you touching upon that and where you're at and where you want to be. Last weekend, Rockingham, Saturday afternoon, and that track looks like a lot of fun, especially at that after the repave. What more did you need to contend there towards the end?
A lot for sure. Yeah, no, we just kind of really struggled with pace all day. We qualified 22nd, which is not good at all for us, and slowly moved through the field, a lot less quick than I really wanted to, but still got through the field, got to the top 10, got trapped 2 laps down after we pitted under green for strategy purposes, and then finished 13th. So yeah, I obviously wish we could have finished top 10 because I felt like we had a top 10 vehicle, but there was no situation where we should have qualified 22nd and ran like we did to lead to the decisions that were made. So yeah, no, definitely have some work to do, and like I touched on earlier, I feel like Bristol's a good turnaround place for us.
Got it. You've been in this sport for a while. You mentioned first time in the truck. 2018 back with KBM and then with MHR recently. Where do you think you have improved as a driver from starting back till now?
A lot for sure. I feel like I was naive in a lot of situations earlier in my career of just expecting things to kind of come my way and not really work super hard for them. And I feel like that's kind of taken a 180 here recently with the situations I've been in and everything like that. So yeah, no, it's been a learning experience for sure. Very thankful for the opportunities that I've gotten, and look forward to the opportunities I'll get in the future as well.
Awesome. Definitely sound focused. You just mentioned Bristol and how you're excited for that. You'll be racing there Friday night underneath the lights. You have a win there in the past, including 3 top 5 finishes on the asphalt there. Not trying to have you give away any secrets, but how do you find past success at Bristol, and what are you looking for specifically on track?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been pretty good at Bristol. I tested there back in 2019 and learned a lot of the characteristics and how to make speed there, and as the years progressed, I've learned what I need out of a truck, and I've had some extremely good trucks there. 2023, I felt like we should have won. That was probably the best one. 2024, we did win. And I think I finished third or fourth at the end of 2024. So the last 3 times I've been there in a truck have been really good with MHR, and I have no doubts that this weekend won't be anything different.
Gotcha. Glad that you're pumped up for that one. As I was saying before we started recording, going to be driving out there Friday night, so super excited for the weekend. Last year saw your MHR teammate of Tyler Ankrum make the championship 4. Playoff system is different this year, as we know. You were just mentioning about contending for championships. How are you going to get the 91 in the running for a championship this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think this format especially is all about consistency. We were doing the math the other day. I think between the Darlington and Daytona race, I think we got like 102 points or 100-something points. And then the other 3, I think we've got a grand total of like 30. So we can't average, 10 points a race in 3 of the races and then 50 in the other 2. So just need to do a better job of being more consistent, providing more finishes that we're, capable of doing, which is the run top 3 all day, contend for win, get max points and stuff like that. So, we definitely need to win. Now, you've seen, the last couple weeks of Corey Heim only being 2 races, I guess only raced 3 races, but the 20-25 point bonus that he gets from winning skyrocketed him to the top of the standings. So wins are definitely still important, but definitely need to work on the consistency aspect of it for the 91 team in particular.
Gotcha. Hope you guys can continue to execute on that throughout this season. And last question for you, Christian. The long regular season, of course, in the trucks. I mean, any tracks? Besides Bristol, that you're looking forward to the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, all of them really. Bristol's one that I have circled to try to go get another sword. Texas is one that's always eluded me, which is our next race up. I feel like I think I finished second there 3 times or something like that. So that's one that I'd like. But really all of them. I like how the truck schedule is and how you have off weekends and there's so many good tracks and different variety of tracks throughout it. So definitely a good schedule, and I'm really looking forward to all of them.
Awesome. Every weekend's opportunity for sure. Really appreciate the time, man. Hope to see you on track on Friday, and we'll talk to you then. Best of luck.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Awesome. You too. Thanks, Christian.
See ya.
Great insight shared by Christian Eckes. Appreciate his time. Now for Fast Davies bets. Starting with the trucks. Give me Tanner Gray, top 5 for starters. Then moving to O'Reilly, Sam Mayer, top 5. Hit me on that one. Cup, Ty Gibbs, top 5 is at plus 145. Seems like a safe play currently. Now for trivia answer time. Hint, the answer was in this episode. I mentioned it. This episode's question is, who has the most Cup Series wins at Bristol? Answer is, the unquestioned king of Bristol was Darrell Waltrip, who won a record 12 races at the Tennessee Short Track, including a remarkable 7 in a row from 81 to 84 when he drove for fellow Hall of Famer Junior Johnson. 8 of Darrell's 12 Bristol wins came when he was driving for Junior. Now the predictions for Bristol, baby. Trucks, I'm just going to stick with the hot hand, Corey Heim. Give me him to get the win. O'Reilly, expect a lot of bumping and banging, just like we saw 2 weeks ago in Martinsville. Heck, give me that 19 to go back to victory lane and Brent Cruz to get his first O'Reilly Series race. Cup, should be a great 400 laps Sunday afternoon. Give me Kyle Larson to break through and get the win. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Hope everyone has enjoyed this episode. Till next time, everybody. Splash of Gas out.